in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need for the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. We talk a lot about your heart, the heart of business. Seems like a lot of people I've been talking to lately have been talking about authenticity and finding your heart, finding your purpose. And I think that is really the spiritual side of business, and it's really important. And so there's people who are really tuned into that and can help us to find the authenticity, to fulfill the purpose. And as I always say, I believe that the purpose of a business is to give you more life. And I got that from Michael Gerber. And he says, if you don't design your business to give you more life, it'll do the opposite. It will take the life that you've got. And I think that's the way a lot of business people tend to go about their business. And as Rebelpreneurs, we want to connect with the things that we're passionate about, the things that are going to give us a sense of purpose and prosperity beyond just making money, but actually making a difference. So today's guest is going to give us her wisdom for how to accomplish that. I'm here today with Yvonne St. Louis. She is the founder of Purpose and Prosperity Coaching International. She's passionate about growth through fulfillment of longings and soulful yearnings, all the things I've been talking about, intentions and desires of the heart to live with more growth, which means more energy, love, more money, but also more fulfillment and joy. So, Yvonne St. Louis, it is a pleasure to have you on Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you, and I would love to tell you that it is about adding more life into your life, exactly like you said. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. So we are already on the same wavelength here. We are in the same channel, the same vibration, the same purpose, or whatever your nomenclature is. We are communicating. So tell us more, Yvonne, about who you are and how you got started on this path of being a purpose and prosperity coach.
Okay, who I am. I'm very much grounded and a practical woman, and I value spirituality. And for me, spirituality is behind emotional maturity, where the quietness is, where the grace is, where the bliss is, where we know our conditioned mind patterns and we can have more awareness through growth. So how I got started doing all of this, I would have to say it is grace. Grace initiated me to do all of this. Back in 2003, I lived a very difficult moment, and I surrendered through the strength of a prayer, and I actually abandoned all that I was. And I rendered my gift, my talents to be used at the service of the divine, of God. That's who I pray to. And from there, I was totally immersed in a state of grace that lasted 2 complete months. So I had information coming at me with my 5 senses. I didn't understand, but it brought me on to become a certified energy healer through polarity and therapeutic touch. And during the first session, I saw the vortexes of the chakra and the green over the person's heart, but here I was working in a project management and business analysis profession, so I really needed to come to terms with the tangible, intangible, visible, invisible, and it's all about energy. So that started my cause, if you want.
So you found yourself in a business situation, but that wasn't in alignment with your purpose and the direction of your heart and your life at that point.
It wasn't, because in the corporate sector, I felt that I was missing out on something because I was not seeing the people who really benefited from my contribution. So that brought me to do some healing because I was raised with deaf parents. I was result-oriented. They showed me that there's nothing that cannot be done. Everything is possible. So I was really result-oriented. And I valued other people's needs before my own needs because there were things they couldn't do. So I then went into psychology, healing, therapy, and it brought me to become a holistic life coach, mind, body, spirit, and money breakthrough coach to heal my own story and to really reclaim my value as a person, because at a very young age, I had learned to seek value externally by this very innocent way of doing something to have attention, where I stole money from my mother's purse, my father's cash register. They were both entrepreneurs, by the way, and the church baskets. And I would go sit outside and give money to people walking by, but later on in life, I was shown that I was seeking my value externally through another person and through money, and that brought me to live with more detachment and really own my own value, get my worthiness, desirability set right, and essentially to be on purpose.
So tell us a little bit more about, because I think there's probably a lot of people listening who they're in a situation that is not really in alignment with their life purpose and their heart. Tell us how you made the transition from working to becoming an entrepreneur and becoming a coach and actually starting your own business. What was that transition like?
Okay, this started back in 2006 when I first got certified through Energy Healing Polarity Therapeutic Touch. And I would just invite people over either on a Wednesday night or on a Saturday afternoon, and I would just simply help them and heal them, resolve their own issues. And I would give it away because I was working in a profession where I was well paid. And so this was my way of paying the grade forward, if you want. And I understood what opens the heart and what closes the heart. And so as I kept evolving, I knew that I had to do this, or else I would miss out on my life. So in 2007, I was inspired to write a 300-page book called The Pure Intentions of My Heart as an out eagle, which is a way to help people listen to their heart. And so I published that, and therefore I just made the decision that I had to leave the corporate in order to fulfill my soulful mission. And so there was no way I was not going to do that. So I found a way to find a way. And so initially I connected with a coach and mentor, and I paid like just about $3,000 to anchor my decision of moving forward. It was a big decision, but I'm really glad I did it. And from there, the Oprah Winfrey Network started to follow me on Twitter due to my social contributions to the Super Soul Sunday. And I just added more certification as I healed my own life story. So
yeah, well, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. Back up. You said that Oprah is following you on Twitter, and you just say that and you move on. Yeah. That's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
It is, and it isn't, because I just love to contribute. And, I guess being recognized in a very honorable way is a big thing for a small town girl from Northern Ontario, Canada. It is. But you know what? I'm a regular woman, an average girl that could be a next door neighbor as well.
Very good. Tell us a little bit more about what you do for people and who do you help? Who is the best sort of person that you could do the most good for in your coaching?
Okay. I really help conscious, amazing men and women who have already done some work on some inner work, mindset and heart set, and they know that they are meant to offer more with their gift, their talent, and they have a sense that there's something more that they need to look into. And so they want to be more connected, they want to be more in alignment with their head and their heart, and essentially, these are the people that really value connection and sensitivity, and they want to live with more fulfillment and more accomplishment. So they're looking for the wholeness of who they are and how they can, first of all, give themselves what they need to give themselves in order to help more people.
Very good. So that's pretty useful for someone who's going into a helping profession or a helping business, like coaching or healing or something along those lines. So you help people to work through that and find their purpose. But what would you say is the biggest problem you see? I mean, everybody says, I don't know who I am, or I'm trying to find my purpose, but what's the biggest problem that you see with the people that you help on a regular basis?
Okay, the most common problem that I see, and they have a hard time to focus. Their energy is drained. They're not feeling fulfilled. They've done a lot of self-development work, and they just feel that something is missing. There's a feeling that something is really missing. Some of them, they feel like a fraud. They're not at their place. They have that sense of belongingness that is missing from them. And they want to get more into what they're meant to do. They want to increase their money because sometimes more money goes out than comes in. Actually, there's two people that I really come to mind quickly. A holistic health coach who was really frustrated and scared and unsure of where she was going with her business. And with me, as she was saying, I've experienced more growth with you than I have for the past 10 years.
Wow.
That speaks volume. And there's another woman, Krista, beautiful, soulful woman. She's a speaker, a relationship coach. And before we connected, she was feeling frustrated, stressed, and tired, so the energy was drained out, and her business was not growing at all, so more money was going out the door than coming in. And she had worked her blocks up to a certain point, but she had not realized that she had not gotten to the root of them. And so getting to the root of them within the space of 1 month, we worked together for 1 month. She increased her money flow by 35%. And
wow.
She was able to have a very clear vision. So, I would say the biggest problem is that there's a deeper unconscious guilt or fear that is there, that is repressed, and people's conditioning mind patterns, they're not fully aware of them. So when they do become aware of them, and I should say right here, right now, my expertise is worthiness and deservability, getting these right, and my mastery is connection. For having been raised with deaf parents, I really understood the core of connection is loving and caring attention. So the more one's connection is boosted and improved, the easier it is to connect more with business. And when this happens, more money flows in.
Very interesting. I saw something on your website that I think is important to bring up, and this kind of ties into what you're talking about, because I think a lot of business people, and that's most of the people in the audience listening, they tend to go on their own. And I call us rebelpreneurs because we tend to we tend to be pioneers. We are loners. And our motto is, if it's got to be done, I got to do it. And if it's got to be done right, I'm the one that has to do it. And so that's a little bit different. And sometimes we can feel not as connected, but, your website makes a point of letting people know that they are not alone, and it's okay to need help and support. Tell us more about that.
You're touching. That is so critical. The fact that I grew up with deaf parents made it that their needs were more important than my own, and so my value was created by myself. So the human fundamental need of importance is valuing you, your wants, your needs, your desires, and being assertive out of self-respect and respect for others. But when you're used to doing for other people and not valuing your wants, your needs, your desires, and when you've grown up with a sense where your worthiness was impacted, and a person who's not been heard or seen or validated has a worthiness issue. And so this creates conditioned patterns that says, I'll figure it out, I can do it on my own, I cannot rely on another person because I have deeper trust issues. So the path to resolve that is the more I connect, the more I trust. The more I trust, the safer I feel. The safer I feel, the more comfort I have. So it's okay to rely on trustworthy people. So I trust myself to trust another person.
That makes a lot of sense. And I could see where if you've had bad relationships in the past or you've been burned by people, that you would kind of withdraw from that. We withdraw from the things that give us pain. And if we're not careful, then we cut off all connection, even the connection that's going to help us and get us to where we want to be. Do you think that's one reason why people feel so depressed and unfocused?
Oh my God. You're touching on something that is very, very critical, because having lived betrayals, abandonment, rejection, deception, make it that, okay, I'm done with that. And so part of the heart is closed. If the heartfelt feelings are not flowing through, so that's where a struggle come along. That's where people stay stuck in their head. That's where their heart is burdened, and that's where there's an inner pressure to do more, to do it alone, to go at it alone. And that's where a whole lot of people have issues in their relationship, have issues with money, because something's off.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And especially people who are listening and they think, well, my personal life is my personal life and my business is my business. No, this affects your business because especially if you're self-employed, if you ever want to hire somebody, if you've got relationship issues, if you're going to be an unpleasant person to work for, if you want to get customers or clients, and you're afraid to reach out and connect with other people, that's going to be a problem. So what you're talking about, Yvonne, really touches on every aspect of business and life.
It does, because who you are, Ralph, follows you everywhere, at home, at work, at play. So what people really need to understand is everything is oneness, one energy. We create our connections through the energy of joy. We create through our talents with the energy of joy. We create money through the energy of joy. So when there is a split, that's where the ego comes in and causes a person to feel alone, or it causes a division with other people. And that's where a whole lot of us have unconscious fear. And I say a whole lot of us have unconscious fear, including myself, because when there's a concern that it's not addressed, it transforms to fear. If the fear is not addressed, it transforms to doubt, mistrust. And if that's not addressed, it transforms to worry. And people say, oh my God, I'm doing fine. Well, fine. Not really. Because if you're in the worry state, if you have distrust, if you have a disconnect, something is off. So you need to have courage and heart to put that under the microscope, reclaim the power over your life and money imprint, because it's exactly the same relationship you have with yourself, and allow something bigger than you and I to give you more clarity to move forward.
Very good. So what can someone do right now to start improving in this area, especially in connecting with others and finding their fulfillment and their joy? And how do you start people off? What can someone listening right now begin to do differently that will get them a little bit closer to that?
Okay, the first thing that I do is I measure the connection or the disconnect of a person. Are they more in the heart, or are they more in fear? So fear is ego-driven, is conditioned patterns that just like keep a person like a puppet on a string. But I want to see the opening of the heart. What does that look like? And so I will measure the connection. So for my own disconnect, because coming back to my parents who were deaf and gave birth to 7 children within the space of 10 years, my mother only wanted 2 children, my father 12, so they had a compromise along the way.
That's a heck of a compromise.
Oh my God, it is. And I was the 3rd child, so from birth it was a disconnect. My mother got into a depression, and it is what it is. So I was able to resolve that disconnect, which had given me an insecurity complex. And from there, I really I created a connect formula. So what people can start to think and do is this: what am I tolerating? How am I valuing feeling good in my own energy? So start with this. So the Connect formula has 5 steps, and I'm just going to name them, and because it's very practical, and people need to have a way to go there with a framework where they feel safe. Oh my God, I see the light at the end of it. So the first step is really to allow your energy to flow in your system through your physical sensations. Allow the tension, the joy, the anxiety, what it is, just to flow. Do not resist your own energy. Allow it to flow. The second step is to have awareness of the mental and of the emotional bodies, if you want. This is where the survival energy is. This is where the ego consciousness lives. And we all have ego, and we were born through perfection with ego because ego was created to protect us from suffering. So can you imagine a young child having such a loneliness or despair in their heart? It would kill them. So this is how the ego was created. So it's important to allow this mental and emotional energy to flow. So the emotion has a thought, which is either a judgment or a belief that is empowering or disempowering. So that's where knowing your conditioned mind pattern is really important. So from there, once you have the awareness, once you know what triggers you, thereafter it's important to be heart-centered. So get into your heart, put your hand over your heart, and just allow compassion and gentleness for yourself, and invite who you pray to into your heart with you, and then ask, what is the highest truth over and above this situation? Show me and guide me. What is loving for me to think and do so I can take inspired action to take my next best step? And that is the ultimate safety that a person will have, because their intuition, their own connection will never betray themselves. So people need to stop self-betrayal and be more into owning who they are, their values, and connecting with their heart, their soul, their mind, to be able to keep moving forward with the right heart, with the right mindset. So this Connect formula gives like a guided approach to quickly moving forward, not staying stuck.
Well, that sounds really encouraging, and it is useful to know that we are not alone, and it is okay to reach out and get help and support, and especially from someone who does this on a regular basis, and you know how to guide people through that. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited? Maybe you'd like to share with our audience.
Oh my God, what's got me really excited right here, right now is, well, first of all, the move from Montreal, Canada to the Dominican Republic and the Caribbean is getting settled in. That's amazing. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's a big change.
Oh my God, it is. It is. I'm just flowing with it, allowing vulnerability to be there and being transparent. And so, in November, what I have planned is a masterclass, which is connecting to your authentic value and worth to have more happiness and money. I'm working on that. But I also have a Facebook group, which is called Authentic Coaching, on your gift to growth and prosperity, where like-minded people connect. And this group is all about building connections, adding value, because the more you give, the more you receive. And so it's a soulful community of people who are committed to accomplishing their goals.
Very cool. And so our listeners can connect with you there on Facebook, Authentic Coaching, on Own Your Gift Through Growth and Prosperity. I've been speaking with Yvonne St. Louis. She is the founder of Purpose and Prosperity Coaching International. Yvonne, this has really been great. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom you'd like to leave us with before we call it a wrap?
Absolutely. Fulfill the right needs and take fear out of what you desire. So own your value, allow the world to return to you your worth through amazing connections, through love, through money, through amazing experiences that just bring you more joy.
Very good. Yvonne, it's been a real pleasure to have you on Rebelpreneur Radio. I've been speaking with Yvonne St. Louis. You can find out more and connect with her at YvonneSt.Louis.com. That's Yvonne, st-louis.com. Or you type that into Facebook and find her Authentic Coaching Soulful Community. Yvonne, it's been a real pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.